Okay, that's hard. Episode 25. Episode 25. I figured I would go through the just by title, as in the first 24 episodes, and as best I remember what I talked about, try to give a little summary. If I say something new, all the better. If all I do is somewhat summarize it, and you want to hear, you want to learn more about whatever I'm talking about, jump over into the full video. But this, since I doubt a ton of you have watched all 24 of the first ones, then I figured this might have some utility. So, advanced improvising. This is a big one, very big one. The rhythms are easily, that's episode 1, by the way. The rhythms are easily the most important thing about a musical phrase. When the notes happen is more important than what notes you pick by a long shot. By a long shot. Little Freddie Green, A flat, minor 7 thing. I'm gonna play like an A flat going. So what I'm focused on when I'm playing a solo is when the notes happen. But repeat that. I'm not giving much of an explanation here, but what makes that solo work is when the notes are happening. I'm thinking, but the ba ba da ba ba da da da, and I'm more or less. This is kind of a lie, okay? I really am thinking most of the notes at this point, but I used to not be, and the solos were just as good, right? When the notes happen is 10 times more important. It's 10 times hookier. It's 10 times more of a factor in whether something sounds great than what notes you pick. The right notes are mostly all vanilla. So how do you get great at this? I gave a 2-step process in episode 1. One is sing a rhythm with a metronome, preferably, or I'm going to use this because my metronome is my phone. So, da, ba, da, na, na. Right? Now, what I need to do, I need to be able to play pretty easy rhythm here. Very easy rhythm there, but I need to be able to play them flawlessly and never mess up any given rhythm that I sing. Sing a new rhythm. Ba, da, da, na, na, na. Bad choice of reverb for this. Anyway, that's the idea. Step 1 is spend a month, 2 months, whatever. It doesn't matter. However much time you put into this, it will be paid back. Spend the first however long. I mean, a good number of weeks. Sing a rhythm, be able to play it. Make sure you can play it flawlessly. Think of the scale, whatever scale shape you're looking at, is a drum kit, and you're just randomly hitting parts of the drum kit, right? Like a little kid sitting at a drum kit, right? Just just random, arbitrarily picking them. That's how you're treating the scale, right? So be able to play any rhythm you think of innumerable ways flawlessly through the scale. Be very hard on yourself about if your fingers go and play an extra note. Boom. No, that cannot be allowed. You should be able to do 10 of a given rhythm in a row with different note choices. And then move on to another one. Sing another rhythm, sing another rhythm, sing another rhythm. When you sing it, try to not, when you sing a rhythm, try to not think of what you would already be playing on guitar. You know, if you can divorce your mind as much as possible from the act of playing guitar, that's even better. But you know, it's not that big a deal. Step 2, spend the next couple of months turning on a song that's got something that's rhythmically challenging. It doesn't even have to be rhythmically challenging. Certainly not at first, but what I recommend is turn on a rap song that you know how one of the verses goes. Like, you know, my music hits me so hard. I think this is the example I used in the first video, because Can't Touch This, it's just like one of the more ubiquitous rap songs ever. Or maybe it's just because I'm old. Be able to play along with that rap song. On every syllable, you're improvising a note in the scale. You're assigning a note for each syllable that he raps. Start it over. Do it again. New notes. What this is doing is it's making it a real-time event. It's making it to where as your head thinks a rhythm note happens now. Your hands are responding. This is the ultimate chop. The ultimate chop is hand obedience. Right? You ever wanted this? This is what you want improvising to be. It's just like the guitar's not even there. The amp is plugged into your brain unit, and you're just the sounds in your head, the things that are occurring in your head are coming out of the amp in real time. This is how to get there. This is how to do it. This is how I did it. Keep in mind something I've said before. I have no talent. I never rolled out of the bed one day great at any of this. You know, I think what I have is a relentlessly analytical approach to things, and I figured out what to do, right? And so however good I am at any given thing was probably just that I figured out the best way to do it. So that's what I'm giving you. So play along with rap tunes or whatever. It could be jazz solos would be good. Just something with some rhythmic meat to it. Jazz solos will tend to have a lot better rhythmic meat than hip hop will, but you know. Okay, episode 2, moving harmonics. Some of these early episodes are just like, hey, here's a technique I don't see anybody else doing. Somebody should take this and run with it, right? Moving harmonics is a very interesting little thing. The idea is, I have a volume pedal here. This one. The idea is you can move harmonics. What I'm doing is I'm playing a natural harmonic and immediately grabbing the fret. Just pop. As soon as I pick it, now I'm holding it. I can bend it. I can do vibrato to it. I can slide with it. As you slide, it'll start to become the fundamental again, which is kind of cool. It's kind of EBow-ish, but things are happening in it that an EBow couldn't do. It's really cool for ambient stuff. There you go. Episode 3, quirky note repeating was just like, you know. So it's like getting the habit of repeating notes, but also I think it was mainly about this I still haven't done it since then. So sliding to notes you're already on. Not the greatest demonstration of it this time, and I remember it was not a very good demonstration in the actual episode. So you have that to look forward to. More crappy version of that, but it is a habit that you can instill in your playing that will sound different than what most people are doing. Right, so sliding to notes you're already on, even if it's with multiple fingers in succession, it's a very, very strange thing. The bend hammer is I've never called it before titling that video, but episode 4. bending. Hammering, doing bends, hammer-ons to bends. Crap. I think I do this in the heat of battle on some occasions, and it sounds cool. I feel like trying to approach it so clinically isn't that interesting. So, Ben Hammer, episode 5. Okay, here's where I start getting back. Episode 1, I think, is really important. Episodes 2, 3, and 4, yeah, whatever, whatever. Episode 5, it's really, I think, very important again. Vibratos, you should have multiple vibratos. When people say, who are the best players, the best vibrato havers in guitar history, and I'm like, I don't know. Jeff Beck, obviously. There's various ways he's doing it, and I don't know. That's about it. I think most of the sacred cattle have very unimpressive vibratos, and one of the thing is, I think the main reason is everybody treats vibrato as an on or off thing. It's a binary. You're either doing vibrato or you're not doing it, rather than treating it like it's a continuum. So on one side of the continuum, it's very slow vibrato that's very thin. On the other side of the continuum is a faster, wider vibrato. And if you do fast and thin, you sound like Kirk Hammett. If you do slow and wide, you sound like sort of some of the 80s metal. Well, I don't know which of those two sounds I hate worse, but I hate them both very badly. Treating vibrato like it's a hold on, let's see, hold on. Weird. So the real thin vibrato is very subtle, whatever. Vibratos that can change over the course of a note. So in other words, having multiple vibratos is, I think, a big deal. That loop sucked. The cool thing about this video is I'm doing everything poorly today. So, yeah, there you go. So if that makes you feel better, that's good. Blowing this right out at you. Wow. I have not played this enough recently. Okay. Multiple vibratos. Go to the video. It's a big deal. I think having a range of vibratos sets you apart in expressiveness from the average dude. So, okay, speaking of which, episode 6, playing expressively. All right, this I highly recommend this video. And wherein I define the actual activity that a listener will think of as playing expressively, right? Or playing emotionally, playing heavy stuff. And that is that there's constant variation in different categories, right? So we just talked about vibrato. There's different vibratos that happen, but also different dynamics. now I'm dealing with multiple vibratos. I'm dealing with constant shifting in dynamics, constant shifting in. This is part of episode 7, so let's put them together here. Episode 7, staccatos, legatos, and staccatos. Right, that the note lengths are very different. So. Like these are staccato. Now, I don't notice here, I'm not talking about different note values. Of course, some of the notes are eighth notes, some of the notes are quarter notes, some of the notes are half, 16th notes, whatever. I'm saying the notes that are quarter notes don't sound the same length, right? I'm cutting them short. Some of them are just change. Everything's legato in that case. By the way, learn the different. I remember in one of them, it must have been one of these, where I talked about legato. Start using legato in the classical sense of the term. Legato means that the notes don't have space in between them. It does not mean what guitar players have come to mean use as hammer-ons and pull-offs. The problem with appropriating that term legato for this very specific guitar technique is that now you no longer have a word for playing notes connectedly. But anyway, go to that video. I think that's a pretty important video. It's a good, solid bunch of weeks worth of work that will make a drastic difference in your playing once you get these habits in your hands, right? That's every one of these things is a habit that you're instilling in your brain, in your hands, through intentional repeated action. So while you're working on your dynamics, you're programming your hands to behave that way when you're no longer thinking about it, right? Same with different staccatos or different note lengths, staccato, legato, different vibratos, things like that. So anyway, 5, 6, and 7 are a big deal. So okay, so number 8, I think number 8 kind of goes with number 10. So intro to chord domination of doom of the, I don't know, I don't know what it says. All chords in a key continue. Okay. It looks like episode 9 is just a theory thing. If it's a chord theory thing, here's all the chords that exist. Go to that. I won't get into it on here. But episodes 8 and 10 get into I think the way ultimately you should think about chords. And that being, so here's the scale. I'm seeing the chords in the key within the scale shape. Right? So here's my 4, sort of basic 4, because 6, 7, 1, 2, 3, 4. You got to go to the video and see it. I don't want to repeat it all, but the thing that I'm improvise with scales and some other people do are improvising where we're improvising chords and scales at the same time. This is what I think. I can't speak for other people who kind of play like this. What I'm thinking are the chords in a key or sometimes out of the key. I'm seeing the cage shape and I'm altering it using the other dots in the scale. So here's my 4, but there's the scale, and I can alter that 4. I can add the other notes and dots in the scale at will, and they make my chord, my 4 chord. Those all sounded like 4 to me. They make that 4 chord take on a million different flavors. It turns out, so far, you could spend a decade playing like this, and you just come up with new stuff still every day. Extremely fertile ground. I very highly recommend it. So, look, episodes 5, 6, and 7, especially for your single note playing. Episodes 8 and 10, you should go camp out. Episodes 8 and 10, but also there's an old video I did. It's like intro to chord domination. No, that's what that one is. Dang it. Whatever it was called. There's an older video where I talk about how to know a zillion voicings or something like that. I didn't quite find it. So anyway, 8 and 10, if you want to start going to a place that you never ever have to come back from. And I don't think you'll ever find a chord approach that will trump this. I mean, it seems to me it's the end all be all way of thinking of chords and of thinking of a lot of stuff, you know? So anyway, episode 11, how to think of modes while writing. I'll let that one speak for itself. Yeah, go with that. There's a couple of AMAs in here. Might be worth checking out. So, I'm sorry. 8, 10, and 12 are voicings. Are all about chord voicings. 8, 10, and 12. And then there's that older video. But if you want to go to a really heavy place with your chord playing, 8, 10, and 12. And then also, the old video, how to know a zillion chord voicings. So, episode 13, how to tone. Tony, tone. Tone, how to, tone, comma, how to, period. How to tone. Can you tell I don't try to market this? I mean, I don't come up with marketable names. I just start jibber jabbering. My approach to tone. Bright early in the chain, darken to taste later. That's the biggest thing. Tone is the noises in the notes. They're extracurricular events that happen that are almost exclusively at the attack of the note. They last a few milliseconds, right? What you're looking to do is accentuate them. The way you accentuate them is to accentuate those treble frequencies that really encode for them, the high mids and up through treble. And then you can darken to taste later, but all that data is still going to be in there. Yeah, that's the biggest thing. People ask, what gear are you playing? Blah blah blah. Whatever gear I'm playing on at a given thing, the way I'm making it sound like what I sound like is that I'm obsessed with the noises that happen at the attack of the note. I'm obsessed with it, and I'm accentuating them. Especially in my case, Maxon SD9 with the gain off. It's just an EQ pedal. That's all it is for me. It's a high mid shreddy thing. It's like harsh, and so gain off. There's no dirt. Well, there's barely any dirt coming out of it. And then into, for me, a Rocket Blue Note, my favorite pedal ever. It's my favorite drive ever, bar none. But really that combination of the two. But it could be tons of different pedals. Or it could be an SD9 into whatever drive you have, or just some brightening pedal into something else. But that's what I like. Bright early in the chain, darken to taste late. I don't remember what else I said. It's something else, I'm sure. So, how to make long solos interesting. That's almost certainly about playing. It's a corollary. This is where. So I mentioned earlier, I think, that I mentioned Scott Henderson pointed out that the rhythm of a given melodic phrase is really the part that you're focused on. In that video, this episode 14, how to make long solos interesting, it's pretty much what he did with that information. I've already gotten sort of to what I do with that information, but he talks about playing thematically, repeating the rhythm so that you make paragraphs out of it, like so that your licks go together because they're united by a common rhythm. Then you move on to a new rhythm. So in my case, I literally just play something. Now, first three things I played, I just played a lick, whatever, but I'm recording the rhythm of that lick. By the way, that's a habit you got to get into. It may not happen automatically at first, but I'm recording the rhythm. Then I play that same rhythm with new notes. Then I usually do it again, and then I'll play something else like punctuation, right? Really often I'll play the ending of the first rhythm that I played as my fourth thing. Like I'll make a new theme out of that ending. Anyway, Go listen to most of the stuff you've ever known was me playing. You know, like on YouTube, or if you listen to Fantastic Boom or some random other stuff. I don't know. If you know where the bodies are buried, you'll hear I do this freaking constantly. The cool thing is, if you play like this, if you play rhythmically, thematically like this, and again, it's a mental habit that you're making, that you expect to hear that same rhythm you just played. You expect to hear it again. You expect to hear it again. When you get in this habit, it's hard to play a bad solo. It's hard to play a bad solo if you're doing this, because this theme, I mean, this program, this way of playing solos, it makes every solo good. You know, it's not up to your talent anymore. So, episode 15. A unique style is something you make happen. I would say go to that video, but it heavily leans on this idea of habit formation, that a style is a habit or a set of habits. So, and that you can program your habits to be, you can program the things that you want to play. So if you find some quirky way to play something, come up with another one. Come up with another lick. Come up with multiple examples of that, and keep working it in. That same thing. Then come up with another one. Work it into solos. What you're looking to do is to make a habit out of playing that type of thing. Anyway, the video gets into it. Go to that. I'm probably am butchering it. Axioms, musical axioms. These are things like 3 and 4, 7 and 1. You need to know the significance of 3 and 4, 7 and 1. So much of being good at music is puzzle solving. Believe it or not, it's puzzle solving. It's in a musical situation. Can you immediately, very, very quickly, come up with the right answer? Or can I play this note in this situation? Or what note goes in the 4 chord? What's the third of the 4 chord? Things like that. There's a million times when you're playing music at a high level where you're really just puzzle solving. Believe it or not, it's strange. The way you get great at puzzle solving is by being amazing with the fundamentals. 3 and 4, 7 and 1. Do you know what what's the significance of that? It's where the half steps are in a chord or a scale, right? So much so that, you know, if you have a scale where the 2 and the 3 are together, it's because you're playing a sharp 2 and a 3, or a 2 and a flat 3. The point is, anyway, go listen to that. I forget exactly which ones I did, but they were the most important ones. They were things that you should know immediately. So, episode 17, my take on the blues scale. Big, cool thing. Not as universally applicable, but for your blues playing it is. So, oh wait, up. I don't know how to work my gear. All right. I'm just going to leave it on this. I suck at loopering. See if that's worth it. All right. So, instead of minor pentatonic only, between the flat 7, I say that there's a 6 you could play instead of the flat 7. So you always have 6 or flat 7, 2 or flat 3, right? And here's the idea, is that at any given time you're either picking 6 or flat 7, but not both. Not both, because both doesn't sound like blues anymore. So now 2 instead of flat 3. So 2, flat 3, flat 7, 6, flat 3, Notice this is all the style, all the flavors of blues, short of a jazz blues. Jazz blues is a little different. So notice I'm just going to constantly go back and forth between all four combinations of flat 3, 6, flat 3, flat 7, 2, flat 7, 2, 6, right? So if I'm playing a long blues, being able to go back and forth between the slightly different flavors of blues, that's how you break away from suburban kid sounding blues, right? Suburban kid plays minor pentatonic all the time and may give lip service to major pentatonic. I rip on that idea of playing major pentatonic in blues on that video. I do remember that. So if that sounds interesting to you, if getting more of the breadth of what can sound like blues sounds interesting, episode 17. Then there's a writing video. All right. Since I'm invisible, 18, why most people's fast licks suck. How's that for provocative? How's that for combative? I started wearing my glasses in this phase, it looks like. Why most people's fast licks suck goes to habit formation, right? Your fast licks are overwhelmingly muscle memory. Compared to your slower licks, your fast licks are very reliant on muscle memory, and that's habit formation, right? And so when are you programming habits? When are you programming muscle memory? Every time you play. So don't, for the love of crap, do not do what the 80s GIT people did, the Musicians Institute crowd did back then. I know there was probably some really great stuff, but the shred rock players, seems to me, must have sat around doing picking exercises all the time, the scale exercises, blah, blah, this exercise. And what you're doing is you're programming the dumbest possible licks into your muscle memory. What are the things you're going to play when you play fast? The things your hand knows best. So be careful what you play constantly. Once you know, I think I may have said this in this video, once you know your scales, stop practicing them. What's the point of practicing scales up and down? If you can do them, stop practicing them. Work on cooler ideas than that. Anyway, since I'm invisible, 19, secondary dominance. It's a good, from a chord standpoint, from a writing chord progression standpoint, it's an entire category of things you really should know. By the way, I was thinking it's a big deal if you ever do. I think most of us are past college age, but if you ever were to do music theory in college, it's gonna be heavily classical. Maybe I should do a video of, hey, let's say you're a freshman, sophomore, whatever in college. You're doing music theory in college. Here's how to think of it on guitar. Having done all the classical theory in college, and gotten it just perfectly fine. These terms, maybe you should replace them with these terms. Like, this is what they call this in classical terminology. It doesn't as much apply to what you would do here and now. Anyway, I'm thinking maybe I should do that video. I don't know what appeal that would have, but secondary dominance is a big deal. I would, if you're into chord progressions, it's an entire class of things that will make sense of a lot of examples that you've heard. So if you're into that, go check that out. especially if you're into jazz or classical. So, since I'm invisible, 20 subtractive scales. I forgot that I did that. Weird thing. Taking a scale. Yeah, your regular scale, taking notes out of each octave. Or you could do them on a per octave basis. Go check out the video, but it's where you get interesting new scale shapes, scale sounds that fit over all of the regular old pop stuff that you ever played. Anything you ever played a scale on, you can actually play much more interesting sounds over that same exact song. So with minimal effort, go check it out. It'll make some sense. Riding 2, no, Electric Boogaloo. All right, basic. Since I'm invisible, 21 basic R&B is a good place to start. Put a week of practice. It's a learning really basic R&B stuff. Learning that type of stuff is great bang for the buck for your practice. Like, you'll be able to use that on not just on R&B stuff, and it'll get you through a lot of situations, and you sound like a boss. Like. Anyway, it's the way to think of it, but you're basically thinking of it as on a chord by chord basis, and there are just licks you should memorize that go with it. So, good place to think. Since I'm invisible, 22 in lines that seem out. This kind of goes with subtractive scales, really. So if you're looking for a twofer way of learning of instilling a kind of your own style into your playing that's based on really interesting notes. I'm sorry, not interesting notes, but interesting contours. Go to episode 22 and episode 20. Those two go together quite well, I think. I would say go to that for a better explanation, but 23. This is really just like what? 13 days ago. All right. Some songs are hard to play over. This is me saying, hey, you know what? Sometimes it's not your fault. It's not your fault that things don't sound spectacular, that your solo didn't sound spectacular. Some songs, it takes so much heavy lifting from the soloist to make the moment sound spectacular, because the song does not sound spectacular. And believe it or not, the song is most of the sound of your solo. What if the attributes that would describe the song you're soloing over are almost certainly going to be applied by the listener of your solo to your solo. They're going to describe your solo more or less as that. So, case in point, how many amazing solos have you heard over this? I'm not sure I ever have. I've heard tons of people play over it. I'm not sure I've ever heard something that's like, wow, that was amazing. Because, like it or not, I'm hearing that's a good portion of the sound to me of the solo. And that goes for any listener, because that's what listening is. Listening is an inherently passive, mostly non-analytical thing. Process. So a corollary of that is the stuff you put out. Learn to craft soloing situations where you sound your best. Figure out what it is that you sound the best on. And if you're putting out a clip on YouTube or whatever, the gear page, only put out stuff that is something that sounds great to solo over. That's something you sound great to solo over. So, anyway, how to play all Fantastic Boom songs. That wasn't in this series, but weird. Since I'm invisible, 24th. For those about to jazz, that was just last week. For those about to jazz, we etc. It's all right. It's an all right title. To sound like jazz, by far the most important things are your swing feel, by far. By the way, it goes these two things and then maybe the note choice. I would say note choice might be third. Actually, I think note choice would have to be fourth because your tone is more important. So tone, in no particular order, these three: tone, sound killer. Because in all of these situations, you could play Stevie Ray Vaughan licks and mostly get away with it and mostly sound like jazz. But your time feel, your swing feel has to be killer. And I can guarantee you it will not be until you've worked very hard on it. Very hard on it. Everybody's swing feel sucks at first. So swing feel and dynamics, jazz dynamics, where notes are spontaneously, suddenly loud, spontaneously, suddenly soft, and a lot of them are just kind of in the middle, right? Jazz dynamics are different than classical dynamics. Classical dynamics may have sudden louds and softs, but in general, there's an ebbing and a flowing, right? There's crescendos, there's decrescendos, right? Jazz dynamics aren't really like that. That does happen to the group, like over the course of most solos. But in your particular lines, there's a manicness to it. There's a constant variation in the volume of the notes. And until you get that, you shouldn't be worrying too much about the note choice. You should be sticking to very easy swing tunes. Tunes that don't have really complicated changes. And just obsessing over your time feel, your swing feel, and your your dynamics. So I do have some new topics to talk about, so that's good. So we're going to continue for a bit, and yeah, I don't know, maybe this episode was kind of a penalty kill, but 25 seemed like, I should do something. I don't know. But some summary thing. Yeah, and I think next month gonna interview Jace from the Besner Lakes. If you got any questions, if you're a Besner Lakes fan, or you're into just about any Montreal indie rock, or go check out his Wikipedia page. If you're into Montreal indie rock, chances are pretty good he produced some of it. So it's worth asking him stuff, or just asking him production questions. He's great. He's great at drum sounds. He's great at a lot of stuff. So if you got questions for Jace, put them in the comments, because I guess I'm gonna do a couple of interviews. I don't know, man. And yeah, I did the maiden voyage for What Makes This Song Great. Grate. I'm so funny. It's kind of a last minute. I don't know if I'm going to stick with that title for the series, but the maiden voyage. It's just fantastic boom songs where I get way into them. So I'll keep that going. So anyway, if this video sucked, comment down below just how badly it sucked. So please do that stuff. Just don't let this be. This does not have to be everybody else's YouTube channel. So, yeah, stay safe. The world is crazy right now. Yeah, the world's crazy right now, and there are bad guys, and they are among us. That's about as specific as I'll get. But yeah, be empirical about the world. Don't I know now I'm lecturing everybody. It's just what's on my mind a lot these days. If you've seen a traditional political approach fail at every scale that's ever been tried, it is a cruelty to human beings to continue to promote. So there you go. All right.